This is Digipath in the News.
My name is Kevin Fox. I'm here with Todd and Shelby of Digipath Labs. Welcome to the program on mycbd.org.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having us.
Now, where are you located?
We are in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a little chilly here today.
Oh, come on, get out of here.
But it's cold all around the country today, I see.
Chilly for us, at least.
Yeah, that's right. No, we've been in Las Vegas here for the last 4 years, and we are a marijuana testing facility.
Okay.
We have a great laboratory here in Nevada, and we do all of the testing for all cannabis products, not only cannabis, but hemp, all CBD products, and really everything across the board.
Now, have you started with just cannabis, or did you do cannabis and hemp to start?
Yeah, well, we do both. Cannabis is obviously more heavily regulated than hemp and other CBD products. And a lot of the new hemp rules and CBD rules that are coming out are based on the cannabis, rules and regs that are here in Nevada. But we started off as a cannabis laboratory, and then have always tested hemp and CBD along the way.
Right. The hemp program in Nevada didn't start till last year, though, so that's really when we started getting a bulk of our hemp testing. CBD products, like you said, has been since we've opened our doors. But again, our hemp pilot program didn't start until last year.
Why is it so important to have third-party lab tests?
Well, do you like to know what's in your food and your gasoline and your water and your milk? Well, you also should know what's in your CBD products as well, right? Everything that we ingest, everything that we consume is tested to make sure that whoever is making this product, whatever it is what they say it's going to be. Well, because there's not a lot of education on CBD, and because CBD is the new craze, it's even more important to get a CBD product tested so you know exactly what is in it and what is not.
Yeah, currently in the state of Nevada, you're only required to get potency testing, but we're seeing a lot of companies that are going above and beyond and getting, like he was mentioning, that cannabis testing, so more in-depth heavy metals, pesticides, micro, so that when they present it to a dispensary or even a CBD store, it's almost a marketing tool. Look, my product's it's gone through
It's clean.
Yeah, right. You know exactly what's going into your body.
What kind of new testing are you seeing with these hemp products that are coming out? What are they looking for? Are they looking for more? Are they using full spectrum? And then what other cannabinoids are they looking for in your testing?
Yeah, so like Shelby was saying, most everybody wants potency. So what is the content of the CBD? How much CBD and which CBDs we find? And everybody also wants to know how much THC or lack of THC is in a product as well. So potency is very important from just from a legal standpoint. And so we know how much of what molecule is in each dose, should you say. And then there's also terpene testing that a lot of people like to do, because terpenes have a really big impact on the effectiveness of CBDs. And then there's all kinds of safety tests that you can do, from pesticides, a very intense microbiology screen. We also test for heavy metals. We test moisture. We give everything a visual inspection as well. And really, we can also do all kinds of tests, but those are mainly the ones that we do here at Digipath Labs.
Yeah, a lot of people are seeing, for instance, heavy metals in their soil out in Hemp, so they wanted to do a lot of preemptive heavy metal testing on their soil and water, just to know what they were starting off with. Throughout the growth process, you don't see an uptake in it, so it's not really an issue at the final product. But they, again, just kind of wanted to know where they were starting off with, so we can have them help down to, again, soil, water, nutrients they're using. We try to help them from the beginning to end.
One of my questions is, can you explain why federal and even state intervention and regulation in the cannabis or hemp space as a double-edged sword?
Yeah, well, I can give you my opinion on
Your opinion, of course.
For sure, right. I don't see it as a double-edged sword. The producers of the product see it as a double-edged sword, because they don't always get, what they say they're getting, right? I mean, hemp is traditionally grown not so much here in the United States over the last 25, 30, 40, 50 years. It's grown in China, and it's grown in Russia, and it's grown in Asia, right? And you just don't know what you're getting. And unless you test it, there's no way to really know. You can think you know, and even if you're not trying to do anything nefarious, even if you're being, you're doing your business with integrity,
Sure.
Unless something is tested, you have no idea. What you think it is just your opinion. So it's crucial, because if the hemp isn't tested, and then whatever product that is being made from that hemp isn't tested, then you really have no idea.
Yeah.
The producers, because this has been a black market, product
Sure.
for the last 100 years or even longer, the black market guys call it a double-edged sword, because we want to get it tested, but we don't want to get it tested. We want it to be clean, but we don't want to have to pay for the inspection.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they see it more as a double-edged sword as opposed to us. But the industry really needs to come together and really focus on safety. It's consumer safety. The minute something goes wrong, the minute somebody gets sick, or the minute something is nefariously done, it puts a bruise and a big black eye on the entire industry. So
Sure.
we really have to self-regulate that amongst ourselves.
I'll quote Todd, and I say it all the time, and he does too, but if we're going to call it medicine, especially the CBD and hemp products, you have to treat it as such. And I think that these CBD products and hemp products is what they're going for. That's what most of them are marketing, is health and wellness and make yourself feel better. So in order to do so, you have to make sure that a pretty little certificate comes with it to make sure that it's not riddled with any type of toxin.
Okay, now this is a question that I need to ask. So there's different kinds of testing, and because there's different kinds of products. Are you testing it from the plant itself, or from the distillate, or from isolates? Tell us the difference of testings that you do.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
We tested every step of the way, right? Every time a product is created, it has to be tested. So the most efficient way to go is to test your flower or your trim, right off of the plant.
Sure.
100%. And then when you make something from that, whether it's an oil or a distillate or an isolate, that also has to be tested to make sure that your process is working, right? And then if you take that distillate or that isolate or that oil, and then you make it into a third product, you put it into a capsule or put it in a vape pen, or however it is that the consumer is going to consume it, that should also be tested to make sure that you not only put your CBD in it, but what else did you put in it to get it into this final product?
Now, we know that the FDA is there to, regulate our food and drug and all that fun stuff. What should consumers look for when purchasing a CBD product? What kind of stamp of approval should they look for?
You should just always, I drill this home every time I'm asked this question, you should always ask for a certificate of analysis, no matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if you're at a smoke shop, if you're at a CBD store, if you're in a dispensary. If they purchased that legally and that product is safe to be on the shelves, it should come with a certificate of analysis.
Okay.
And what that is, a certificate of analysis states that it has been tested, and here's all the results. So you know exactly, again, it's an ingredient list. Every piece of food that you buy, everything that's on the shelf in every grocery store and every part of the world, there's an ingredient list, right?
Yeah,
but not
sure.
on cannabis and hemp products, right? So it's because the FDA and the USDA are not regulating, these two products. But when the FDA does come on and start doing that, you bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be nutritional facts, not only on every edible that's made, but also on every pill that's made, on every isolate that's made, every tincture that's made. All of that will happen. And here's, again, your double-edged sword, right? So the producers, because they don't want that to happen, because the purists and the traditionalists and the advocates, right, they say, well, we haven't had that all these years. Why do we need it now?
Nobody's died now.
Right. But you do need it now, because as this, I hate to call it a drug, but as these molecules get introduced into mainstream, right, there has to be these precautions.
Yeah, and what kind of impact does the federal government have on your business?
Zero.
Right.
Only the threat of closure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Really?
Mhm.
Well,
Interesting.
That's for any. That's for any
Correct. Now,
MSP really.
well, this now that hemp is now federally legal, the testing facilities are doing both
yeah,
testing.
yeah.
So on one hand, perfectly okay to have that product, test that product, all that great stuff. On the other hand, it's still kind of gray.
That is correct. Actually, we just signed an agreement with a company called Hemp Inc., and we are going to open up potency testing laboratories at Hemp Inc.'s processing centers.
Okay.
They have one in Oregon, they have one in Arizona, and also one in North Carolina. So we're now committing ourselves, as a company to really embrace the hemp side of the industry because hemp is legal now, because CBDs are becoming more mainstream. So now we have an opportunity to really go deep into the hemp industry and the testing hemp industry in all these 3 locations, plus whatever we do here in Nevada as well. But over time, we think there's going to be a centralized, hemp testing, kind of like how Quest or LabCorp does it right now,
Sure.
where lots of drop-on points, and then you'll be able to send the sample into the main facility, wherever that main facility is. But we're certainly embracing any kind of hemp testing all around the country, and feel it's going to be a big part of our business model.
And I think no matter which route it takes, the testing's always going to play a huge role in it. That's how we're going to get them to understand us, I think, on those, FDA, and when they start to get involved. If we're driving home that we're testing all this product as we do medicine, you can't really deny it at that point.
Right, and what we're doing with this testing, so everyone understands, is we're collecting data.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right? So this is data that's never been collected before, that is brand new to the world, and now, once you have enough of it, you can start analyzing your data to figure out what is this data telling us. And this data that we collect, that we've been doing for 4 years here in Nevada now, and that we're going to start doing in not only other parts of the country, but other parts of the world, this becomes a database very valuable to the future of cannabis, hemp, and other CBD products.
Now, if I started my own CBD product, how do I go about reaching out to you for the best information to get my product tested? And how important is that for me to do that first versus at the end after creating the product and everything else? Should I reach out to you now when I just have the plant itself, growing the hemp or the cannabis now, or should I wait till my final product and give you that?
Well, as a lab guy, I would say we should test it every step of the way.
Sure,
but
yeah, right.
As a guy who helps people develop products as well, you have to test it, because if you don't know what your ingredients start with, you don't know how much to put in to whatever it is that you're going to make, right? So we work with a lot of customers that we start right from the plant, and like Shelby was saying, sometimes we start at the water and the soil level.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then we'll test the plant along the way to see if there's any kind of diseases or to see if anything is going on with that plant. Certainly then after the harvest and it's dry and it gets batched up into its batches, that would need to be tested so you know what your starting, product is.
So if we test anything from an out of state, it has to show, again, that certificate of analysis does. I know it sounds a little counterproductive, but again, people are trying to ensure what they're getting is right. So we would have to, for instance, if you sent me something from a hemp-friendly state, it would have to show it was under that threshold. So at that point, we weren't transporting any product illegally across state lines. And then we would verify those results for them. Sometimes, too, what we can do is more in depth than a potency test. So again, we offer the pesticides, the heavy metals. Other labs don't do that. So they'll have a potency test showing that their flower is under that threshold and want further testing. Again, as long as they have that proper paperwork, we're able to work with them. Also, we check with the Department of Agriculture in other states to ensure that they are hemp friendly, as everybody likes to say that. But if you speak directly with the Department of Agriculture, you'll know if that state is allowing that.
Where do you see cannabis and hemp going in the year 2019? Do we see fully illegal cannabis products nationwide? Where do you see it going in the next 8 to 10 months right now?
I think we're still about 5 years away from federally legal, cannabis regulation, because it's very difficult to regulate this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Because in the beginning, you just make it up and then you adjust along the way. California was a big legal state in the very beginning, and they had zero regulations, right? So this black market industry thrived for almost 20 years. Then Colorado and Washington, right, went legal, but they had very, very lax testing regulations. They had medium regulations to even get a license to be able to do what you're doing. And basically what happened was the black market folks who were really controlling the industry moved into the easy to get legal industry, right, and started, doing the business, but still very little regulation from a testing standpoint, very from a public safety standpoint. And then Nevada started it and did it right? Nevada came in and said, we're not going to do this until we have our regulations in place. And that's where the states really have to go. They have to create the legislation and the rules and the regs first, not afterwards.
Not throwing darts in the dark.
Afterwards, you have different segments of the industry because there's the cultivator, there's the production guy, there's the dispensary, there's the distributor, and then there's the testing lab. Well, everybody has their own agenda, right? Our agenda is testing, right? A dispensary's agenda is different from testing, right? So everyone lobbies their own rules and their own, where that should be that should happen prior to instead of during, right? It's a lot less tumultuous and a lot easier to make it really strict and then adjust along the way of things that didn't make a lot of sense.
Is there anything scary that you should tell the consumers out there that you've seen in some of these products? I know you talked about the pesticides or anything else. What has scared you and made you go, this is why I do this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We have, here in Nevada, we don't see a lot of fails for pesticides. People are very accommodating to the regulations, right? Because our pesticide regulations are very strict. So not a lot of folks are using pesticides. In fact, we have, less than a 1% failure from a pesticide standpoint.
That's fantastic.
Which is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Microbials, however, are, we see about a 9% or sometimes a 10% failure rate from micro. We test for E. coli, salmonella, coliforms, 4 different species of aspergillus, which is all the bad stuff. We test for yeast and mold, also gram-negative bacteria. So it's a very intense micro screen that we do, and that's where most of the tests fail. So when you say, have I seen something that was really extreme, just heavy doses of an aspergillus or way too much mold and yeast, nothing, we don't see E. coli or salmonella in too many samples. I think I've seen it once in 20,000 samples, right? So all of that is human introduced. It's not really plant introduced, right? So we also teach a lot of, safety that Shelby heads up. We'll go to somebody's cultivation. We'll go to their farm and we'll show them, the perils of doing this and what you should be doing in order so you can pass the test and you don't see any of those scary things.
Right.
But we're lucky. I think it's a very good and safe industry here in Nevada, and we haven't really seen we've had mycotoxins, which are a bad thing to ingest into your body, especially if you have an immune deficiency. But a mycotoxin is the material that is released by bacteria that is very poisonous, right? So of 20,000 or 21,000 samples that we've done here at the lab, I think we've had 2 or 3 failures for mycotoxins, 1 for heavy metal, and everything else has been micro.
Well, it's really great that you're in this space to help us be safe and really help those businesses that are looking to put out great products. I really appreciate your time on here today. Keep up the good work. We'd love to get more information about your testing, and we'd love to see more research being done. And whenever there's something new out there, we'd love to hear about it. So thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having us. And, you can find us here in Las Vegas. If you have any testing needs, you can go to our website at digipathlabs.com. And we're also a publicly traded company, by the way. So check out our ticker symbol at DIGP. And
awesome.
Thanks for having us. We love sharing the information. And, the key to good legislation is education.
Unbelievable.
So the more we can educate, the better we can legislate. So we're happy to help, and we're happy to stay in touch.
Well, thank you so much, Todd. Thank you so much, Shelby, for being on today.
All right, thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.